Hello everyone, Luke here. Welcome to my latest My Team video. It is round number 6 of the championship. We're heading to the Circuit de Catalunya for the Spanish Grand Prix. Last time out at Holland for the Dutch Grand Prix at Zandvoort, we did okay in the end. We managed to finish in 8th place. We were running second for quite a long time before our pit stop. We just was not able to take advantage of the soft tyres at the end, so could only end up finishing in 8th place. Nick got another 10th place, his third point scoring finish in a row. I'm 6th in the Drivers' Championship, Nick is in 15th, and we remain 5th in the Constructors, and we are closing up to AlphaTauri, so maybe, just maybe, we might be able to get up to 4th in the Constructors here. Hopefully, we'll get a good result at Spain. Let's get this qualifying session then underway here at Spain, and I think a bit like the Netherlands, it's going to be important to have a good qualifying. It is not the easiest track to overtake on. The DRS into turn 1 is by far the best opportunity on the track. I seem to have a lot of pace in the first sector, but not quite the same to match for the rest of the lap. And you can see at the moment, I'm only just over a 10 behind Bottas, who is fastest in that first part of the track. Then it all just seems to go downhill for the rest of the lap. But hopefully I can start, if not well into the top 10, just outside would be better. So I can maybe do the alternate strategy again. It didn't quite pay off at the last race, because I've lost a bit of time through there. Didn't really have the confidence into that corner. Flat out through turn 9 and then heavy on the brakes into the hairpin at turn 10 on the second DRS straight. And again, a possibility for some overtakes in the race. We're down in 14 at the moment. We'll see if we can gain any time in this final sector of the lap. Need to be smooth, need to be careful, need to get a good exit through the chicane to make sure I can get on the power as early as possible. Not really the smoothest I would have liked. Heading towards the finish line, DRS open. We're going to be in 14th position. I'd have hoped for better than that. We'll see if we can make something work then in the race, and we'll see where we are to some of the other cars, because it wouldn't surprise me if it's really close in that midfield section at the moment.
With qualifying finished, it's time to remind ourselves of our top 3. Bottas, Hamilton and Max Verstappen. Goodbye for now then, but we're really just getting started. Make sure to join us again for Lights Out tomorrow.
Only a quarter of a second off the top 10 with that time, and I think I lost most of that through the turn 7 and turn 8. We did out-qualify Nick again. We're going to have fresh tyres for the start of the race. If we can get a good start to this race, and if this time most of those in the top 10 have to make a one-stop strategy work, they have to stretch it to a one-stop, or they have to do a two-stop, I think we're in a good position. I think we can get some good points here.
Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Good job yesterday from Valtteri Bottas. The Finn starts from pole position, and Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Verstappen, Stroll, Charles Leclerc and Perez, Albon, Vettel, Sainz and Daniel Ricciardo, Gasly, Norris, Esteban Ocon and the owner driver, Kvyat, De Vries, Kevin Magnussen and Dorian Boccolacci. Russell, Grosjean, Latifi and Antonio Giovinazzi starts from the back of the grid. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out. Then let's see who can prevail today.
Time for the race, and once again we're doing the opposite of everyone else. We are going for the hard tyres in the first stint, the mediums in the final stint, and the reason why we're doing it that way around is I think a lot of the others that are going for 2 stops are probably going to be on the mediums in that final stint as well, so I'll have a better chance to either attack them or defend from them depending on the situation. Let's get this race underway. We finished 8th in our last 2 races. Nick's finished 10th in our last 2 races. Will we repeat that performance, or will we manage to do better this time around? Underway then for the Spanish Grand Prix. Not the worst of starts. Kvyat seems to have had a pretty good start, and we're going to see if we can get our way down the inside of a few cars here. It's getting pretty bumpy with Daniel Ricciardo. We're on a very compromised line through that right-hander, and that's allowed Lando Norris to try and have a go at us. Can we outbrake him on the outside? Just about managing to get our way ahead. Need to be careful. Need to be careful in these opening few laps. Make sure you don't pick up any damage. Make sure you don't pick up a penalty. Or worse, don't want to ruin the tyres either in this first stage of the race. Gasly's ahead of us in 11th. As we expected, it looks like everyone else outside the top 10 has gone for the medium tyres. So as per usual, it might just be about trying to stay in touch with some of these guys up ahead of me, as Gasly very early on the brakes then on this first lap. Don't be surprised if the top 10 get away, and if Gasly gets away, and then there's a sort of me trying to hold off the tide of drivers behind me in these opening stages. But it doesn't look like we've had too bad of a start to this race. A bit like the Dutch Grand Prix, managed to gain a couple of positions on the opening lap. Now it's all going to be about, can we hold on to those positions for the next few laps until our tyres start coming into their own. Gasly is my main worry at this moment in time, if I'm being honest, because he's doing a good job of holding on to the back of the top 10 at the moment, and that's going to help him later in the race, because he's definitely going to be doing a one-stop strategy. So if he builds up a big enough gap, he's probably going to be too tough to get past later on, whereas these guys that are stuck behind me are obviously going to be on a slower tyre later on, so they shouldn't be a problem. Could really do with Gasly dropping back or me picking up the pace at the moment, but I don't feel I can drive too much faster on these hard tyres and keep them in good shape for the rest of this stint. Everyone who started on the soft tyres has now pitted. That puts us in second position. Gasly approximately 4.5 to 5 seconds up the road. Getting a lot of messages off Jeff about engine wear as well. The engine has been used all season so far, and as you can see, it is nearly at 60%, and that is really the point where it does start to get down on power. So that might cost us later in the race, but for now I don't think we're in too bad of a position. It should now be harder for Gasly to pull away that he's not got the DRS. So let's see if we can just start reeling him in ever so slightly. As you can see, most of the field coming into the pits, all those that run the medium, so we take the lead of the race, and we were just starting to pull away from those behind us and just feeling Gasly by about a tenth to a lap for the final couple of laps of that stint. We've still got another 5 laps to go before we come into the pits, and then we'll see where we come out on the mediums. Bottas is in 3rd position at the moment. He has to pit again, as does Hamilton. I'd say we're in a pretty handy place in this race.
Let's use that overtake button more. We're approaching the pit window. You'll be on the mediums. We're leading our teammate by 26.2 seconds.
There you can see Bottas just cruises past to take the lead of this race. Now you can see why I was worried about Gasly. He's in 5th. He does not have to pit again. He's in a really good place to possibly get a podium from this race. Maybe it's going to be a bit tough for me to catch him up, but I'm going to have to give it my all on these final few laps and then see where I come out of the pits after my stop. Here we go then, into the pits, our one and only pit stop. Prediction is we're going to come out round about 12th or 13th place. Could depend on if we see anyone else coming to the pits on this lap. There goes Gasly and Albon flying by, and there we go. There are a few other cars making their pit stops on this lap, so we won't be as low as we perhaps thought first time around. Going to be pretty close on the exit with Norris and Ocon. Norris is just going to get his way ahead of me, but I do come out in 10th place, just ahead of Ocon. Need to dispatch the McLaren as quickly as possible and then use these tyres in the free air to see how many points I can get. Down the inside on Norris, and that's allowed Ocon to get past him as well. I didn't want to get held up for any longer than necessary then. I am now in 9th place. and we are going to see a few other drivers come to the pits as well. We'll see where we are at the end of this lap, because that should be the lowest position where we're going to finish once everyone has been into the pits. We are currently in 5th position then, 5th place for now. See if we can work our way up the order anymore. I'm spending more time looking in my mirrors at Ocon than I am looking forward at this moment in time. Again, it seems like this different strategy just doesn't work out in the second stint, and I don't have the pace advantage that I thought I would. We're in 5th place at the moment. It's Gasly who's actually in the lead on his strategy. I think it's going to be hard for us to finish any higher than this. I just need to concentrate on not making any mistakes and making sure Ocon can't get ahead of me. Five laps remaining then of this race, and I'm still in the same position as I was 5 laps ago. Not a lot has really changed. Gasly's still leading, Bottas is still second, Hamilton third, Stroll fourth, and I'm in 5th, trying everything to keep Ocon behind me. He doesn't really get close enough on the straights at the moment to have a go at a proper overtaking opportunity. So as long as I keep doing what I'm doing, I should be safe with a 5th.
This is your final lap of the race.
Final lap of the race then. Nothing much changed, like I said last time around. We are still in that 5th position, still just doing enough to keep Ocon behind us. Gasly has finally lost the lead of this race. It looked as though he was going to take the win. He's now dropped into 3rd position.
Gap to car in front is 7.6 seconds.
Stroll's just staying far enough ahead that he's not really anything I've got to worry about, and he's too far behind Gasly for the Alpha Tauri to drop off the podium. It's been a solid race from ourselves. We haven't really made any mistakes, but as Jeff just loves sending me loads of messages on the final lap of the race, it's not really been a bad race from ourselves. There's not been any mistakes, but it's not been spectacular. I've spent most of the time having to make sure that I don't make any mistakes and just defending from a car behind me rather than going on the attack. Bottas takes the victory. Hamilton gets fastest lap on the final lap of the race, and we're just going to round the final chicane for the 33rd and final time, heading towards the finish line. Still one of our best results of the season though. We get a 5th position.
Alright, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
And I imagine that 5th place will once again be good enough to get ourselves driver... Oh no, Ocon actually gets driver of the day. He was just behind me in that race at the end there. He really did keep up well, because Norris and a few of the other drivers dropped back from me there. Just wondering what could have been with that race. If I'd have been able to stick with Gasly a bit closer, if I'd have stayed in his DRS, would I have then been in a position maybe even to come out of the pits ahead of Hamilton, ahead of Stroll, and maybe then things would have been ever so slightly different. But it's a Mercedes 1-2, Bottas winning from Hamilton, Gasly getting what I think is his first podium of the season then. We finished in 5th place, and Nick gets his best result of the season so far. He gets a 9th position.
Now let's discuss, Ant, who would you say is a contender for driver of the day? It's time to check out the constructors' standings. Mercedes continue to extend their lead. It's been an absolutely wild weekend of Formula One action. I can't wait to see what's next.
You can see how much the 2-stop strategy didn't work. Did not work for a lot of these drivers. You can see here, only 3 of them finishing ahead of me. Albon was 10th, Verstappen 11th, Leclerc 12th, Vettel down in 14th, Perez, Ricardo, Sainz all losing many places from where they started. We'll see what that's done for the championship. We're actually now down into 7th place in the championship. We've been jumped by Stroll in all of that, but you can see how close it is still in that midfield bit. The team stays in 5th place, and Nick actually stays in 15th as well, despite getting his best result of the season. So he's starting to work his way up. I did say when this season started I wanted to be getting consistent podium finishes, and we're just not doing that so far. It's like we just don't have the pace to do that at this moment in time, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. We're just in qualifying we're still not quick enough. I can't get anywhere near the top 10 in qualifying, it seems, around most circuits. And that's really compromising my races. I'm too far back to really do anything.
Let's have yours. Did you struggle to get through all that traffic today?
I mean, I just pushed as hard as I could. I didn't really get stuck in any traffic at any moment
We all
in time.
underestimated you, didn't we?
I don't think I really made...
How do you
I
feel
think I
this
made
season
one
is
overtake,
going
and that was
for
on
you?
novice,
Is
and
the
that was
car
about it.
competitive?
Not the most exciting race in terms of overtakes,
Well, that's everything.
unfortunately. Unfortunately for us, but it was a 5th place. It's very good points for the team. Nick gets his best result, so it's another 12 points for the team in total, which means I think apart from Bahrain then, will be our best race of the season. The rivalry between me and Vettel is 29-25, so as long as I don't have an absolute disaster at Monaco, that should all be okay. Team Acclaim nearly up to level 17. We're getting there slowly. Of course, the higher Nick goes, the more expensive his contract becomes, but I still think I'll be keeping him at least until the end of the season. We hit all the bonuses once again. That should be fairly straightforward as long as we keep getting points. We didn't get any damage. That's definitely going to change at the next race. And it's boosted our cash up ever so slightly because we have upgraded the powertrain department just so we can get some more resource points. Just so we can do slightly better and start improving the car a bit faster, because if anything, we've dropped back ever so slightly. At the end of last season, we were consistently finishing round about where we are now. Nick seems to have improved, but I don't seem to be getting any further forward, and I don't seem to be almost as close to a podium as I was towards the end of the last season. I know we did get one at Bahrain, but again, it all depends on the strategies. On pure pace, we're not going to get any more podiums this season at the moment. Yeah, that's the end of this race then. Monaco next time around, and that is definitely one where it is all about qualifying and all about getting the strategy right. So I need to make sure I'm as near the front of the grid as possible then. Thank you so much for watching this one, and I'll see you next time around for the Monaco Grand Prix. Goodbye.